Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, and today's episode is going to be a late 60s, early 70s direct drive, level line, freshwater bait casting reel that was marketed by KMart. And KMart's got this one as the 007. Sounds like a James Bond reel. So I don't believe there was any kind of tie-in, but it's an interesting way to make a model number there. So this one was actually given to me. We'll go find a person who can use this reel once I tune it up. It came in. It's the line guide is out of the slot that it belongs in, and some minor little issues. There's a bent reel seat here. Not terrible. Probably had to be bent to get it into the rod that they were using. Otherwise, it's very clean. Doesn't look like it was used very much. Has a little bit of line on there that I guess I can take out right now. And while I'm doing that, I want to take a moment to thank our first responders and essential personnel and everybody involved in keeping us safe during the pandemic. I appreciate all of your efforts, whether you're fire, police, rescue, EMT, or if you're involved in the supply chain, like delivering our foodstuffs and the like. Thank you very much for all it is that you do. Okay, let's see what this reel's made of. Now, let's clean it up and let's get it out there with a second chance to go fishing. So I'm going to take off the nut cap here. Looks like a 9mm nut cap here. Followed by removing the handle. I think that's all that's here. Then we have 3 side plate screws. And as you take these side plate screws out, the first thing you want to do is kind of lay them on your bench, because you want to make sure that all of those screws are the same, and you want to make sure if they're not the same that you know where those screws came from. Now, a lot of times they're all the same, but every now and then you get one that's not, and it's always a good way to kind of take notes along the way. And it looks like this is, yeah, there you go. So that one's longer than the other 2. That one belongs in the reel seat. So always good to do. What also is good to do is to take pictures along the way, particularly if you don't have a schematic. That way it'll give you an idea of where the mechanics are in the reel and how you took them off in a sequence standpoint. So when you go to put them back on, you know where to find them. Okay, as I mentioned, the reel is very clean. We got 3 little screw plates that we'll take off here. And this whole thing should come out. But it looks like it's not. There we go. Okay, we got a big old nylon or plastic gear. It's good to note the orientation of that. Have some dried grease in there. I'm going to just use a paper towel first. I usually can get it out. Okay, that's nice. Cleans up nicely. While we're at it, we may want to just use a little rod and reel cleaner on the outside case. I did notice that there was a little bit of accumulation of some old dirt. Just use a paper towel. I'm using Penn's rod and reel cleaner. It's a commercially available product. You can get it just about anywhere. Certainly can get it online. Okay, that's that piece. A big nylon gear. Check it to make sure all of the teeth are uniform. There's no chips and cracks. A little bit of grease behind, so we can go ahead and take that off. And let's go ahead and put some fresh grease on that. I'm going to use Penn Precision Reel Grease for that effort. That's off camera, but I really don't care too much about what grease you use, but I do recommend that you use fishing reel grease. Now, with nylon gears, you can get away without it, and that's probably one of the reasons why Kmart selected this type of a reel, because chances are it's not going to be fished very often. This is our level line feature here. Kind of an interesting one. And get that spool out, and let's clean the back end of this case while this is floating here. Get off the dirt and grease that's hiding inside. That'll also give us access to the back end where that spool is going to seat, so we'll get some grease into that as well. And you can clean up the shoulder on this metal here, as well as on the reel seat. I'm just using the paper towel for that. It doesn't look like it needs to be anything more aggressive to restore the shine to this one. Okay, we're going to just grab that and put that back in. There's a little stud here that's going to ride in the case, so let's go ahead and make sure that gets seated there. Pretty simple design, and what we want to do as we're doing this is we want to get that line guide into the slot, because that fell out before and that won't operate properly in the out position. So we've just reestablished that on the inside. There's a pin here that main gear is going to ride on. Our spool is nice and clean. We'll just grab a paper towel for that. The spool is going to drive the spool is going to be driven off the main gear. Let's go ahead and put this back in. Kind of interesting design. Most of the direct drives don't go this way, but this one is. So we'll make sure that the back end of this gets some grease. Go ahead and insert that into the case. And now it looks like we can take that main gear and mount that to the drive that's driving the level line, rather than driving it to the case. So that would be the next portion. Get a little bit of grease into the adjuster. That's the reservoir for the spool. And we can get a little bit of grease where that axle shaft is going to ride. Very simple reel. And it just goes to show you, you don't need a lot in terms of engineering to make a nice product. And this one looks like a nice product. Just work the case on. Make sure that it seats nice and flush. And then we'll just go ahead and put those 3 screws in, remembering that the long screw is in the base for the reel seat. You just need to get it lined up properly. So if you like watching how to repair fishing reels, maybe you're starting the hobby, maybe you have one that needs repair. But if you like watching the episodes, I ask you to subscribe. That way, you'll know when I'm posting my videos, and if you hit the notification button, you'll actually see what episodes have been posted, and you'll be able to make a judgment as to whether you want to watch that type of a video. So for example, I'm working on an older freshwater bait casting reel here that probably hasn't gone fishing in quite some time. But I work on modern reels. I work on saltwater, freshwater, low profile, round bait casters, spinning reels, conventional reels, lever drag reels, all kinds of reels. And if you like this sort of thing, the best way to do that is to watch for the notifications after subscribing. I'm just going to clean this up a little bit. I'm just going to use some light steel wool here. And since this hasn't been serviced in a while, we'll go ahead and put a drop of oil into each of those recesses for the knob. I'm going to put this back on simply by seating it properly to the shaft. And then I like to hand thread the nuts, the cap nuts and the washers and the like. That way I know I'm not cross stripping them. Then you can finish it with a wrench. And again, this is a 9mm. I imagine this was probably sold as part of a bait casting combination. And the last thing we need to do here is to go ahead and put a drop of oil onto the pawl. Now this was operating fine. The only problem that we had with this one earlier was that it was out of the track. And that's okay. We'll just make sure that we can lube it up. Now the pawl is sitting low. The screw is actually a holder for that, but it's not a pawl cap. And that's one of the problems with these older reels now. Well, in this case, it was probably a problem right from the beginning, but there's no parts available. The only way you can find a part for these reels now is to find a donor reel. And quite honestly, at the price of these things that they were at the time, unless it was a reel that you learned how to fish as a child, or maybe your mom or dad bought it for you or something, there's really no value in these, and it's probably near impossible to find a donor reel to help you along and fix whatever the broken piece may be. Alright, so we're just going to button that back up. finish the tightening of that screw. I'm going to put a little bit of oil onto this and we'll give it a test drive. See how we did. Well, that's nice and smooth. Now this does not have a drag, right? So this is, all power is kind of brought together by you. So when you're spinning on a cast, you're going to have a back pedal on that handle. And as you go to reel, you're going to go forward. And if the fish wants to fight you, well, you're going to fight that fish using your hand strength. So that's it. This is the KMart 007 model. Just trying to find the click mechanism. I don't think we have a click mechanism. We have a very weak click mechanism. But there you go. Smooth reel. This is ideal for fishing off of a little pier, for drop fishing from a boat, freshwater, and lake fishing, or light streams. If you're going to float a bobber or a float or a cork or whatever you might want to call it, this reel will last forever. So I hope you've enjoyed that. If you have any questions, please leave the questions in the comment section. I do try to respond to them. And if you have a reel that needs to be repaired and you're not interested in doing it yourself, you can contact me. I'll be happy to provide you with reel service and repair information. So this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.